Hi, everybody. This is Pastor Heather from Berkeley Hills Lutheran Church with another episode of Sunday School for You. We're in our third week of learning about kindness. We're learning how to be kind. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask my helper, Fiona, to come on over and remind us of our memory verse with the little song that we've been learning. Here she comes.
Hi everyone. All right, we're going to sing our song. I hope you remember it from last week. Everybody get out your doodly-doo fingers. Here we go. Be ye kind one unto another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake has forgiven you. Do, a doodly-doo. Ephesians 4:32, bum. Be ye kind one unto another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake has forgiven you. Do, doodly-doo. Ephesians 4:32, bum.
Thank you, Fiona. So in the Bible, we can read about Jesus, and there's all these wonderful stories about his ministry, how he healed people and did miracles, and we can learn a lot from Jesus. He was a teacher. He was a healer. He was a prophet. He used stories to tell us about the kingdom of God. Those stories were called parables. But you know, his best way of teaching people was by example. Jesus, the things he did, teach us many things about how he wants us as his followers to be. He teaches us kindness and compassion. He raised people from the dead because he cared about them. He called and welcomed followers and disciples of all kinds. But most importantly, Jesus gave up his life to save us. Well, today I want to share two stories about Jesus and how he showed us kindness, not just taught us, but showed us by example. So the first story is about a guy named Zacchaeus. You may have heard of Zacchaeus before. Jesus goes to the city of Jericho, and as he's walking through town, it was like a parade. People gathered and lined the streets and crowded around to see him. This happened most places that Jesus went. And Zacchaeus really wanted to see Jesus, but there were two problems. One is Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and for him, that meant that people thought he was a sinner, that he was a bad guy, that he made God unhappy because of the way he did his work. See, tax collectors back then often took more taxes and kept a portion of it and then sent the rest to the government, and they got very wealthy doing this, and people felt cheated by tax collectors. And so they said, oh, those tax collectors, they're just bad people. And so Zacchaeus, the crowd wasn't letting him get through because they're like, you're not a good person. You can't come see Jesus. And also, he was very short, so he couldn't see over the crowds, even if he tried. So Zacchaeus was so desperate to see Jesus that he ran ahead of the crowd and climbed up a sycamore tree, and looked down over the crowds to see Jesus. Jesus comes along, gets to that tree, and he looks up in the tree and he says, hey, Zacchaeus, come on down, because I'm going to go to your house for dinner tonight. So Zacchaeus scrambles down the tree. He's so excited. And the crowds are like, what? That's not right. Why would Jesus go and have dinner with this sinner? That's a terrible thing. So Jesus goes to Zacchaeus' house, and Zacchaeus, he knows what people are thinking and saying. And so he makes a promise to Jesus. He says, Jesus, I know that I haven't always done the right thing, but because of you right here and now, I'm going to give half of all my possessions to the poor. And if I've cheated anybody out of anything, I'm going to pay them back 4 times. Wow. And Jesus is really impressed and very glad about this. And he says, today salvation has come to this house because this man is a son of Abraham. And I came to seek out and to save the lost. That's a cool story from the Gospel of Luke. So, if you think about it, would you want to hang out with Zacchaeus? Maybe not, right? Most of us might think, I don't know if I want to do that. And some of us would be like, I'm not hanging out with somebody who has a bad reputation. In the eyes of the community, Zacchaeus wasn't a good person. But in the eyes of Jesus, he's exactly the kind of person he came to save. And he didn't look at Zacchaeus as a bad guy with no hope. He looked at Zacchaeus as a sinner that he could forgive. And he didn't care what the other people thought. He didn't care if they didn't like him or if he didn't think that that's what Jesus should be doing. So that's the kind of kindness our world needs today, isn't it? We shouldn't look at people and just see all the wrong things they've done or the bad reputation they have. We should judge them on how they're trying to make things right and turn their life around. So that's our first story. Our second story also comes from the Gospel of Luke, and it comes from the very end of the Gospel. Jesus has just had his Last Supper with his disciples, and the whole group of them has gone out to the garden, and they're out in the middle of the night in the garden, and Judas comes up to Jesus, and he comes into the garden with some soldiers. He comes up to Jesus and he gives him a kiss on the cheek. And Jesus says, Judas, are you betraying me with a kiss, right? With a sign of love? And now he's going to turn him over to the authorities with that sign of love. And the disciples see the soldiers and they get really upset. And they're like, oh my gosh, we've got to stop this from happening. Jesus, what should we do? And one of the soldiers pulls out his sword. No, one of the disciples pulls out his sword and chops off the ear of one of the slaves of the high priest. And Jesus says, stop, don't do this, we can't do this way. And he heals the man's ear, and he allows them to arrest him. See, in spite of knowing that he was going to be arrested and crucified and die, Jesus still found it in him to heal that man who ended up arresting him. And we know that even while he hung on the cross and was dying, he asked God to forgive all the people who did that to him. He said, I don't think they know what they're doing. And he wanted God to forgive them. Forgiving people who've done wrong to us is really one of the greatest acts of kindness we can do. Because it helps not only that other person, but it helps us too. When you forgive someone who's hurt you, you give that person a chance to make things right. And you also give yourself a chance to heal. So I want to share with you a verse for today. It's from Colossians 3:12. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. So I want to talk about things that go together, because what the writer of Colossians is telling us is those things all go together. Compassion, gentleness, humility, patience, they all go together with kindness. All right, so we have some pictures here to show you, and I want to get up close here and show you these things that go together, right? So here we have mac and cheese, salt and pepper, Batman and Robin, they go together. Dora and Boots go together, just like SpongeBob and Patrick. And peanut butter and jelly, right? Some people think peanut butters taste so much better with jelly. These things go together. Well, that's what the author of Colossians is telling us. Kindness is so much better when it goes with compassion and humility and gentleness and patience and lots of other things. When we've been hurt or someone's done something wrong to us, sometimes we act with anger, right? We respond with anger. Kindness leads us to do just the opposite, to respond with love and forgiveness, because they go together with kindness. All right, so Fiona's going to lead you through an activity to help you to remember to clothe yourself with kindness. All right, Fiona, take it away.
All right, so for this activity, you're going to need 4 sheets of paper. You're going to need pictures of clothing that you can cut out of a magazine or you can print off of your computer at home. You're going to need scissors, you're going to need glue, and you're going to need something to write with, like a pen or a pencil or a crayon. What you're going to do is on each sheet of paper, you're going to put a letter in a big block letter or a bubble letter with your writing utensil. You're going to put the letters K, I, N, D on your papers. You're going to spell the word kind. You're going to take your scissors and your glue, and you're going to cut out the pictures of clothing that you've found, and you're going to glue them inside of the letters that you've cut out, or that you've drawn. And this will be a way to remind yourself to clothe yourself with kindness. It's kind of a funny way to do that. See, we have like t-shirts, we have pants on ours, we have some sunglasses over here. You can find any clothes you want, and maybe when you're done with this activity, you can hang up your kind word above your dresser or wherever you keep your clothes, so that when you're getting dressed, you can remember to clothe yourself with kindness. Kindness by itself isn't always enough, though. In the book of Galatians, Paul describes kindness as part of the fruit of the Spirit, which also includes love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Paul speaks about the fruit of the Spirit not just as like these individual things, though, but as one whole thing. All of those things that I just said come together to be one thing. And we show the fruit of the Spirit to the world as we develop those qualities and work on those and use all of our peace and love and joy and faithfulness and kindness together. I'm going to move us back over here, and Pastor Heather's going to come back and lead you through another activity.
So we're going to make a kindness kid, right? So that as a way of helping to remember about kindness. For this activity, you're going to need a piece of plain paper and some crayons or markers in bright, beautiful colors, and 1 black crayon, okay? And on your paper, you're going to draw a person, a nice big open person, like a gingerbread man. I'll show you what mine looks like. And you're going to color it in with all sorts of colors. Any way you want to, it doesn't matter. We did ours kind of in splotches, but you can do sections or swirls or shapes or anything you want. Nice, bright colors, okay? So after you've finished coloring this, you can, or while you're coloring even, you can talk with your family about what kindness makes us look like. See, God made us to be kind. And one of the things we learn is that when we're kind, we show God to the world, because God has put that kindness in us and on us. And that makes us beautiful and bright and shining. And anyone who sees us knows not only that we're kind, but also that we're made by God and belong to God. And so they see God when we're kind. So next thing you're going to do is take that black crayon, and you're going to color over some of your bright colors with the black. Make some splotches, and each time you make a splotch, you can talk about maybe some of the ways that you haven't been kind, or ways that you know that people aren't kind. And what happens is that makes us not so pretty anymore. It hides all the brightness that God has put on us with darkness. And so you're going to do that, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the coin. I found a quarter on the floor, so I thought that was pretty cool. And you're going to take the coin, and with the edge of the coin, you're going to scrape off the black. And when you do that, you want to be careful not to tear the paper, but when you do that, what you see is all that color starts to shine through again, right? Just like that. You see how the pink and the blue shine through again? Okay? So what that says is that even when we mess up, even when we're not kind, God forgives us, and we can make things right and care for people and live out forgiveness, and that brightness, that shininess of God, the kindness of God and the love of God start to shine through again. What we want when we live our lives is for people not only to see us as kind, but let people see the creator of kindness, our loving God. All right. So let's just review as we come to an end. Colossians 3:12. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Once we see God's kindness in us, Paul says, wear that kindness out into the world, right? Clothe yourselves with kindness. And just like getting dressed takes time and attention, making sure that kindness is what people see in us and in our actions, that takes some time and attention too. So we invite you to clothe yourself with kindness every day. All right, Fiona's going to review our memory verse, and then she has one more quick activity for you. Okay? Thanks.
All right, get out your doodly-doo fingers again. Here it goes. Be ye kind one unto another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake has forgiven you. Do, a doodly-doo. Ephesians 4:32, bum, bum. Be ye kind one unto another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake has forgiven you. Do, doodly-doo. Ephesians 4:32, bum, bum. Awesome. So our last activity is a Be Kind Bee. So I'm going to back up here and show you what our bee looks like. You can make your Be Kind Bee out of anything you can find in your house. You can use a paper plate, a piece of paper. You can use a toilet paper tube. We used a piece of felt, and we put googly eyes and a little smile on him. We used pipe cleaners for his antenna. We gave him little shiny wings and ribbon for his stripes. When you're done making your bee, you can write on his belly, Be Kind. We wrote BEEKIND, and you can hang that up in your house to remind yourself to be kind in a funny little way with a bee.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us for Sunday School this week. Next week, we're going to begin to talk about the Christmas story and getting ready for the Christmas story. So I hope that you'll join us again, and feel free to share this with your friends. If your friends don't have a church that they're going to or able to do Sunday school at, you can send this to them and invite them to learn along with you all the good things about God, how he loves us and saves us and teaches us how to be his followers. So God bless you. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.